things that were good. I did some things that were bad. And, I don't want to elaborate on that. I don't want anybody to know, But anyways, I did things that wasn't good. But over the years, I must say that I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about myself during my darkest moments. When they said, whenever I felt like I had to go out, and sometimes in the Bible where He sent the people out for 40 days, and they were out in maybe 400 years. I can't remember what
40.
It was. How many ever?
40 days in the wilderness.
40 days, and they were out in the wilderness, and they were lost for not being obedient. And I felt as if the things that I had gone through in my life, that God was showing me, okay, this is what I'm going to do to you to open up your eyes and show you how important people in your life are to you, regardless of the situation, regardless of how people feel about you, regardless of what you have done. I want you to understand who you are as a person and things that you did, and I want you to be able to move forward. So with saying that, I was in the wilderness for probably about 3 years. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about things that I did. And I learned, regardless, I must go on and try to be a better person. And that being said, sometimes people don't forget the things that you did, and they will not allow you to move on. And then you have some people who, regardless of how you have changed, they still tend to talk bad about you, wish bad on you, just say bad things about you. So, and the things that that people, a lot of family members that probably have done things in their past, you have family who just don't let them get past that. It's like how you team up against this one because the one is an outsider. How they say the black sheep of the family. Regardless of how good you may feel like that God has changed your life, they still look at you as if, oh, that's the black sheep of the family. That person did that. That person, and as I say, did.
Okay.
We have to learn to move forward because life is short. And the only person that can judge us and our viewers, the things that you may have done to your family, is God.
Okay.
So my advice would be to people who are going through feuds to keep pushing. The person who may feel like the black sheep of the family, keep pushing. And if you continue to do those things, then God hasn't dealt with you. When you stop doing those things and you realize your mistakes and you learn to move forward and try to do whatever you can to help others around you, then God has made a mark in your life.
Mm-hmm. So
I would like to chime in. This is Angela. I would like to chime in on.
Go ahead, Angela.
Piggyback some what you're saying, Dinah. And a lot of what you're saying is very true. But sometimes at the same time, like when family members, have done these things and they can't see, nobody sees what the change in the person and everything. And I think that kind of stems from, like going to that person, whether it's a family or a friend or a co-worker or whatever the case may be, and you have to go and take ownership. When you go take ownership to whatever the situation may be within the situation, and then apologize for whatever the situation or the case may be, and ask for forgiveness, because that's one thing that it does say in the Bible, before you can pretty much, if you want to repent and do all these things and take the communion. You have to go see your brethren and make it right. You can't just, assume that, because I have changed, but at the same time, you can't assume that the next person gonna, really accept the change because you haven't took ownership and you haven't went and apologized to that person on whatever the case may be that was done. And then if you can get, that forgiveness, because once you take the blood off your back and you go to that person and ask for forgiveness, you've done your part. And if they still choose not to, turn the other cheek and let bygones be bygones, the blood is not on your hands anymore. The blood is on theirs.
Correct.
But you got to take ownership.
I agree. I do agree with some of what you're saying as well, to a certain extent as well.
Well, it's okay to agree to disagree. I will say, this is, the host, Charlie. I will say from what I heard so far as what Dana said, it sounded pretty profound to me. It really stood out. And to me, it sounds like, okay, it would have been easier instead of engaging in a long, because you're saying that, hey, I did some things that were wrong, which we all, have. No one is perfect. But I feel like it would have been easier to say, and sometimes I feel like that kind of is the creation, and it gives like the birth of a family feud or any feud, is when we're so far gone that we don't say, instead of saying something nice and how we really feel, and just say, what you did, it really hurt me. Please forgive me. And I think that sometimes that seems like one of the most difficult things to say. And everything that you said, I felt like you were summarizing. I did do some things that were wrong, but I feel like you were saying at the same time, without saying it, I'm hearing symbolically, this is please forgive me. And I could, maybe I'm wrong, but that's just what I picked up. And I think that that's something that I see a lot of times. Is that something that we're taught, a learned behavior, that we automatically go into a defense mechanism instead of, or is it just it's much easier to be defensive than to say, please forgive me?
But in a lot of families as well, it's easier for a person to hate you and down you than to forgive you. And I'm not just saying from this family. I see that by I talk to a lot of people daily. I mean, from inmates to co-workers to strangers, you know what I'm saying? And I hear, how you have these family woes and
she's Connie Chung, y'all. She talks to everyone.
I do. I do. And because my heart goes out to people, some may say I have a cold heart. Some may say I don't have a heart. But my heart goes out to people, and anything that I can do to try to help others, I do that. And if I can give advice to someone to help them get through a family issue that they're dealing with, I do that. And a lot of times I hear, they just won't forgive me. They're angry with me because I like the color black. I'm just saying. Or just crazy stuff. Or I don't know why they're angry with me. I have tried to go to them and they won't talk to me. It's just different things, but I just feel like it's easier for families to hate than to come together. That's what I see, and that's just
what creates that. What creates that is people that tell me, what do you think creates that? If it's people that you've known pretty much all your life, like I'm the youngest. Well, my tenor would be like the youngest on the phone, but out of the siblings, I'm the youngest. So people that you've known all your life, what would create that type of anger, that type of hate, that type of unforgiveness with people that have, what happens? What is the creation of that? Where does that come from?
Well, I'm gonna chime in on that, that, Charlie. I feel like a lot of this dysfunction in families leads to, it really stems from lack of trust. Yeah, there may be an issue where a person may say, oh, just like Diana's example, oh, they won't talk to me or they won't do this because I like the color black. I feel like there is always something behind the story. And I feel like at the end of that story, at the beginning of that story, there's going to be somewhere where the family has pretty much, there's been a disconnect and a miscommunication because there has been a lack of trust within a family member or family members.
Okay. So that means that we have to learn. So do you feel like coming up that we learn our boundaries with each other? Because I know we were kind of like.
What was that? I hear some noise, so I'm not able to hear you clearly.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't hear you either, Charlie. You were breaking up. Sounds like wind or somebody working or something.
Who is that doing that?
If you ain't talking, just mute your phone. That way everybody can hear it. And then when you start talking, unmute your phone. That way we can't hear the background.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, are we taught boundaries? Because it sounds like, okay, somebody violated my trust. Okay, that's the issue or thing that Montana is saying about a violation of trust, a trust issue. Did we learn boundaries with one another? That these are acceptable boundaries? Or how important do you think it is to understand these are the boundaries we should have with one another? This is what makes me feel uncomfortable. And this is things that we shouldn't do to one another. Like, do you feel like that had an impact? And then again, where did Montana indicated a lack of trust, but again, that type of interaction, like the family feud, we've had plenty. How long, what's the longest family feud that we had? The longest?
I would say the longest I've had is probably maybe a couple years.
Okay. And then...
Well, you know what? Actually, I'm going to go back. I'm going to say long-standing. I'm not going to say a couple years. I'm going to say long-standing, and I'm going to say... And I'm going to go all the way back from... I can go all the way back to 18 years old.
Okay, so... What is the impact?
Yeah,
how does that impact generate? So since from 18 years you have.
18 years old. What?
You said since you were 18 years old.
Yeah.
So since you were 18 years old, you've had 2 children. You have a grandchild. We've all had children and families, and some of y'all are grandparents on here, grandma and grandpa on here. Over this period of time. That's a long time, from 18 to where you're at now. We won't disclose age, but you're up there, so we won't go there. But y'all are up there.
I thought we was gonna be nice.
Those are facts. Those are facts. So with something that long, what is the impact to you, your children, the relationship you have? They have. You just described a family feud or an issue that has been ongoing. How has that impacted your relationship with others? Your children's relationship with others, or did it have an impact at all?
It has an impact. The relationship is not close. The relationship is questionable. Such things. There's always a question mark there. And it's not. And I'm going to say this. And it's not from. Like I could say, it's not from me throwing negative comments out there.
It comes from engaging with the individual, as far as engaging with the individual and knowing the individual heart and knowing what has been said. So now that they are older, I would say they're like, oh man, this, said that were not nice. Things were said that were not nice, but so far and so forth. Well, just
so the forgiveness
it has affected.
So the forgiveness that you seek, have you also given that forgiveness? Have you rendered forgiveness to?
I have, but yes, several times, but during the times when I did, then I was, there was, things that get back to you. Oh, this person may have laughed at you when you left, and they didn't give up what you said, and and then they go and tell this person, that person. This person said this. This person came to me and tried to apologize, and blah blah blah. And I didn't want to. I just listened and said, I said something to this person. I don't want to hear it. It's just different things. You know how rumors are. When somebody tell a person what somebody said and how they add on to it and take it away. It was just things, just things like that. But when you're in a better place in your life, you just don't really worry about those type of, just like I said, how, and Angie mentioned about once you go to the person and apologize. But here's the thing also, when God deals with you in a way that I have been dealt with, I know that I'm in a good place. And it's not about apologizing to other people for certain things that you did. Because,
no. I'm not saying apologize. You're getting it.
With God is different, and the things that they take away from what they have learned is different. So
you're confusing what I'm saying, though. I think that you're confusing what I'm saying. I'm not saying verbally apologize. What I'm saying is, do you forgive them on your end? Like to forgive, like you're saying.
I apologize. And you know what? I apologize. Yes, of course. That's one thing. I grudges. Again, and I know you keep saying, when I went through my 2 years of darkness, 2 to 3 years of darkness, you learn to forgive a lot of things that have happened in your life. Mm-hmm. So you do forgive. And here's the thing. Some people, and I have talked to many people about this as well. Once you have gone through things, and once you have been brought to the lowest point of your life, then it changes everything about you. You know what I'm saying? It changes who you are internally. It changes so much about you. And if you have not been through that, then you would not know where I'm coming from or what I'm talking about.
So
you have to have gone there.
So I guess my next question would be, would anybody want to chime in on it? Because I do have another question. Okay. So my question is, how much of the issues, or is it the fact that we are different and we have a difference of opinion? It's not that the person may have been talking about you or an individual or the next person. It could be a discussion, but how the other person perceived it when they heard it, it was their perception and they were defensive. So is it, again, it could be a communication issue where people may not be able to handle a difference of opinion. The fact that, okay, I can agree to disagree. I heard what you said, and I understand that you and mom, I'm just saying mom as an example, had a discussion and my name was brought up. Y'all are entitled to your opinion. Let me keep it moving. Because I kind of have developed to that stage with me that I can hear stuff, and I can even hear, okay, the fact that my name, okay, yeah, I might not like it, but okay, you're entitled to that, whatever.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
And I think also when we talk about forgiveness and things of that nature. Okay, so my view on forgiving an individual would be, okay, yeah, I've forgiven you, you do what you do, and we both are moving on with our lives, and we're keeping it as that. That's my definition of forgiveness. I don't feel as though a lot of people view forgiveness as, oh, you have to forgive them, you have to deal with them, you have to talk to them. I don't feel that way, because if you're on a different level than another person, rather it be a family member or just somebody else, and you feel as though you don't want to communicate or deal with them, you shouldn't be forced to have to deal with somebody.
That's exactly right.
Well, that's true.
So, say, oh, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that. It can just be just a quarter thing. Okay, we've forgiven each other, we've moved on with our lives, and that's that.
That's that. That is correct. Because that's like, just when you're dealing with coworkers, you can't get along with coworkers, and, okay, you can't get along, but we can work together. But we're not going to sit here and have personal talk about what we did last night. But and a lot of people don't understand that. Your coworkers don't understand it. They think just because we're coworkers, I can come in and tell you what I did this weekend, and you're going to tell me what you did. And you're looking at them like, okay, well, how was your weekend? It was good, and you move on. And then, oh, she doesn't like me, or, and it's always something negative. No, I don't have to like you. We just have to work together. We don't have that type of relationship. And you're right, my China, it does get confused. People get it confused.
So my next question, when do you cut people off? Is that a healthy approach?
I think it is.
I feel like if it has gotten to that point where you just have to cut somebody off, then it is what it is. You as an individual, yeah, you're in a family unit, but you're still your person. You have to protect yourself. Nobody else is going to protect you like you're going to protect yourself. So if you feel that you have to leave somebody alone and cut them off entirely, if you have to do that to protect yourself, why not?
I agree. I agree with that.
Okay. Any other thoughts about that? Anybody want to chime in? I know. Let's hear from the man on the phone.
The man.
The man. Well, yeah. This is always a tough subject when family or close friends or whoever is involved in this kind of stuff. And I personally think it just makes a communication issue problem. I mean, you can go to somebody ask for forgiveness, either they're going to forgive you or they're not. And either you're going to accept it and move on, or accept it and just go smoke up somebody's butt and still be feel some kind of way. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think accepting somebody's apology is you accepting and being serious about it. And then, I mean, even if you don't hang out at the bar next week or whatever, but communication is still good, especially with your family. I think. You know what I mean? You ain't gotta hang out and do everything, but if you accept it, I mean, there's nothing wrong with communicating with your family. You know what I mean? You might not invite them over for dinner every Sunday or anything like that, but but hey, I mean, we're not teenagers. I mean, we are grown folks, and growing up and moving on. Yeah, that's all good too. But hell, family all you got.
Right.
You know I want to chime in on that, because you said if somebody tell you that they're sorry. And everything I'm saying is just my opinion, just how I feel. Mm-hmm. Somebody's words, that does not mean anything to me. It's about your actions. Actions speak louder than words. So somebody can always tell you that they're sorry, just like somebody can tell you that they love you and still don't love you.
Right.
So it's all about the actions that's behind that. So if you know that you're truly sorry for actions or whatever that you've done, then that's something that you have to prove. If you feel like you need to prove that, it's about actions, not about you verbally saying. You can say anything.
Mm-hmm.
But, everybody has to earn trust. I mean, regardless.
Yeah,
you have to earn that trust. Especially when it is broken. And that's like dealing with a husband and a wife relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend relationship. once you break that trust, you have to earn it back. And sometimes it takes, like, really being around them. And you don't have to sing Kumbaya. You don't have to sing Kumbaya, but can we be cordial and be in the atmosphere together without, any friction?
Well, would you say that a person, when you say you have to show them, you have to earn them, but if a person is genuinely have changed, then why would they have to show a person? They should be able to see who that person is by just observing them. It should be a person having to prove. You know what I'm just saying? I wouldn't want to have to prove to somebody that I have changed, because if you don't see, and I'm just speaking, I'm just speaking in general. If a person has to prove that they have changed, and the other people around them, either as friends or your spouse or whatever, can't see that change, then I think it's just useless. I mean,
okay.
Let me prove to you I'm a changed person.
Okay,
you're going to try to show it. Is that going to be sincere? Are you sincere about that?
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. Hold up.
To prove it, like what would be an example? What would somebody?
Wait a minute, hold up. Wait a minute, hold up, because hang on, Punk.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm like, why would a person? Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah, well, hold up. Hold up. I'm gonna let Punkin speak, because he was trying to chime in before Punkin did you, because I know you were wanting to say something.
Well, I was kind of going to go to that same thing. I mean, how a person's going to prove it? If you're really going to give it an opportunity. If you're not willing to open yourself up or whatever and give a person a chance, and you kind of like observe, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just be around that person.
If you're not doing anything to see that change and trying to see a change, you ain't never going to know. You're never going to know.
You're never
going to know if they're trustworthy now, or if they actually change or they're just going smoke up the ass. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, here's my perspective, too. I'll give my 2 cents. Yeah.
Relationship, the same thing. It's either you're going to be done with it, or you're not. If you're going to give them a chance, then you're going to be around to observe and to watch.
Right, that's it. Observation.
Yeah, I think
you have to be around them. You have to be around and agree to be cordial.
Yeah,
but not proving. You can't prove nothing.
Well,
you can't prove.
Yeah, I think that it's the same.
In another level as well, everybody has different degrees of what they will show. Like, okay, y'all saying that, be around somebody and show, let them, you observe it or whatever, and they observe that they're trustworthy. But different people, they have different levels of what trust has been broken. So let's show you. So for example, for you, Angie, blow Joe or whatever, you might have just a short level of, I somewhat don't trust them or whatever. And then me on the other end, I'm like, no, they are trustworthy 100%. So with that level, so that's where I'm a little confused as far as like, okay, yeah, you be around an individual, but at the same time, we all have different levels, and we have different levels of trust that has been broken. So, somebody else can't tell another person, because I see that they've changed, or my opinion is that they have changed, and so you should feel the same way. No, that's not fair.
Right, I agree. This is my perspective. My perspective is this: just the same way that a person demonstrated something to violate the trust, then I would have to see something demonstrated to indicate a change. So that would be through some form of interaction to me. That would be through some type of engagement to an extent so that I can see. And so just because we're engaging, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's trust there. That means that I'm open to see. I mean, just like, for example, with Dana and myself, we've had some, I guess you would call it dysfunction or feuds, a couple of feuds. And so it would be a matter of, I'll engage and I'll make my observations. Am I 100% trusting initially after we had this violation of trust? Perhaps not. But we do engage with one another. And again, with each of us, we have our own individual relationships with one another and how we engage, and what information we choose to share with one another. But we understand those boundaries. And so those boundaries will vary depending on, which each person that's perhaps on the phone, because each of us have different conversations. We have different relationships. So my relationship with Montana may be different from my relationship with Pumpkin or Angie or Dana. And that's okay for us to have those different levels of trust and different levels of relationships with one another, because that's a choice that we have.
Right.
So it's not a force, but it's a trust, because as I said before Uncle Shop passing, I said that I didn't want it to be a situation where we were meeting, because we had like a little, I guess, potluck or little fish fry type thing at mom and dad's place or whatever, like the week before Uncle Shop passed. And my thing was, I was just like, we really need to come together before, not just for a funeral, but we need to come together. But I wasn't anticipating that Uncle Shop was going to be gone or leaving out of this world the next weekend. I wasn't anticipating. I mean, I knew he was gravely ill, but I wasn't anticipating that, that soon that was going to occur. And that's my thing. I don't want us to have to keep coming together and having unity under death, because of death or whatever. So, especially, with the baby, we have a new baby, and Davari, DQ, Meatball.
What about a baby?
Meatball.
What?
I said we have a new baby in the family, Meatball. And so Momo's Meatball. And with Momo's Meatball, he's precious. And so it would be great for him to, be able to develop relationships and know his family.
Well, here's the thing also. When it comes to our family, and not speaking on other families that I've spoke to, but here's the thing with our family, Daddy pushed, regardless, we all did something, even if we had conflict, we all did things as a family. We all had get together as a family, because that's what Daddy pushed for. Daddy wanted that unity. He wanted that family thing. And, when Daddy passed, things, it wasn't, and I'm not saying anything in a negative way, but all I'm saying is that we don't have that patriarch of the family to keep the family together. We have to have someone that's going to keep the family together and not be a part of the confusion, to hold things together. Don't stir the soup.
And I feel like that is another reason for family dysfunction. I mean, not only with this family, but just with families all together. Like, there's nobody there to kind of be that mediator to say, hey, this is what's going to happen, and if you like it, or go on about your business.
Right.
So,
hey, I'm the mediator now, all right?
And I was going to say that, because one thing about you, even I was going through our dispute, Hunter was always, call her. And yes, we're sisters,
have issues. Whose background is this? Sisters, you know, they have issues. But Punkin was always the one that was very positive, and very positive, and he has never said a negative word about anyone in the family. Even with the dispute that he has had, he hasn't had a dispute with anybody, even with a dispute that one of his brothers had with him, and he was still positive, and he still tried to keep that bond together. So, that we have to change that. Life is short. So people are not just dying when they reach 70. People are dying at the age of 20 and younger, older, in between. You have to do, we need to create memories for our kids, for ourselves, something that we can. Then when we get up and they read that eulogy and they talk about that dash, that first date and that dash, and then we should be able to talk about fun things that we did, not focus on all the negative that we did.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that Punkin has a very, because of the family dynamics, for those that don't know, our father had a stroke some years ago, and has a very, very major impact on how our family moved forward. And so I think that Punkin, he does. I mean, he's that role model. He's that person. He's that next person in line. Because I mean, most of people know that Chubby, he's incarcerated. He's in prison, and people on Facebook made sure that they publicized that, so that's known and was shared. But Punkin has pretty much moved into that role. I mean, even when I got married, he walked me down the aisle because Daddy, couldn't make it make it all the way down the aisle because of, the damage from the stroke.
What noise? I hear so much stuff. I don't know what's going on. It sounds like a circus. It sounds like it's crazy.
I don't know what that is. Hold up. Are we clear now?
I just heard something muted.
Yeah, is it cleared?
Yeah, I don't hear it anymore.
I'm clear. I was muted too until I agreed to say something.
Okay.
Oh, that had to be. Was it you?
I don't know. Yeah, but I was just saying, Punkin, he has pretty much, I guess, maybe without on purpose, shifted into that role. But Daddy was a strong leader. Daddy was not perfect. I'm not declaring that he was perfect, but he was definitely leading the pack. He was leading his family. And so, and we always had a sweet way.
Daddy was perfect. Don't you say something. I'm not gonna say. Don't you say my daddy wasn't perfect.
Okay, Aunt Gail. Okay, Aunt Gail. But he was human, but he also had a sweet way of bringing a family together. With the cookouts, and he just wanted his family there and together, and so and his grandchildren, and they could
eat regardless.
Whether you were hungry or not, you were going to eat. So, and he was that or whatever. And so I think that Punkin, he brings that leadership. So I think even without on purpose, that he's done that. And I think he does. He also, I have to acknowledge him for doing such a great job, with Gabby. I know that when I went there to stay a few summers ago, I was going to a conference. And I mean, he was doing everything. I mean, breakfast, lunch, doing hair, getting her up, getting her ready for camp. And I mean, he's an awesome father. He's a very great father. So I definitely have to take my.
Great cook. He's great cook.
Yeah.
And I agree as far as going back to somebody to build a bond, because when you have a strong leader, the rest of the pack is going to follow. Yeah. So if you, once that leader is gone or whatever, is no longer in that group,
then guess what? Now the rest of the pack is just going on. They doing their own thing. There's nothing there to build that bond anymore. Nothing there at all. We have to find that one who doesn't cause discord. The person who can lead. Yep. And that's another thing. He never said anything, and this is coming from the trust thing. That's why I feel like a lot family dysfunction is from trust and lack of communication and disconnect, because he never said anything bad about anybody. Nothing bad.
Right.
If he said anything, it was not an opinion. It was 100. It was nothing but truth. That is true.
Yep. And Daddy didn't say it behind your back. Daddy said it to your face.
Right.
It was cut
and
like.
Nothing was nice when it came out either.
Yeah, it might have cut like a blade, but it was necessary. Yeah. So in all that, what would we say if it was another family or someone came to you today after having this discussion? What message do you have for people, and how do we move forward today?
Find your leader of the family. Find the leader of the family to get your family back on the same accord.
All in favor of voting Pumpkin as the leader, say aye. Aye. Okay. Pumpkin is the leader.
Oh my God, y'all. That sounds great. I have a problem with that.
And I think that it's all about somebody being on their own time. We all are individuals. We have our own things going on. Like we all grown. Like back then, where there you may have been a kid in a family. Now you're grown like me now. So I have own opinions and own feelings about things, about family dysfunction, things that have occurred and all that. So other members of the family have to understand. This is not just with our family, just with anybody, any family. All members have to understand that everybody is on their own time. They can't be forced to do this or do that, or say, oh, you have to forgive, you have to do this, you have to do that. Everybody has to do things on their own time. And what makes an individual feel comfortable is them not being forced to do things or feel like they have to go to family functions and do this and do that. Let everybody do things on their own time, on their own accord.
Right.
If an individual is forced, if there's a break in any family function and somebody is forced or feel like they're forced to do something, that trust is not going to be built at all, because there's going to be a block there, and I'm going to be 100. That is me. Like I don't want to be forced to be around certain family members. I want to be able to do that on my own time when I feel comfortable enough to do that. Because if I'm forced, there's going to be a block up there, because that wall is already there. That wall is already built. So that wall is going to follow me wherever I go, regardless if I'm forced to do something. That wall is still going to be there. So for a family to be able to, we all need to come together, and that might take one family member coming together, the next family member coming together, two more coming together. But at the end of the day, what the main goal is for everybody to come together, regardless if it's this year, next year, whenever. We're all working towards a goal.
Right.
And you have to, and
that's the plan.
In any family, you have to learn, regardless of what you have with that person, that individual. If that individual has others, that they have children, don't eliminate that individual. If you eliminate that individual, don't eliminate their kids, because the kids are part of them. Make sure that you include them, because once people start doing it, it's like, okay, so they don't want to be around, they don't want to be around him, and they don't even want his kids to come around, and they don't invite his kids, and it make the kids feel a certain type of way. So I think that we have to keep in mind that, when we plan things, plan it for all, regardless.
Yeah, but also we need to be mindful too. I think that works both ways. And we have to be cautious in our actions and understanding that our actions impact. It's not just about how we feeling, but it has an effect. Because even with our situation or whatever, Kamaria said to me, she said, "Ma, I wish that would have never happened with you and Dinah. I hate that happened." And I was like, "Well, why?" She said, "Because that was my favorite aunt." That's what she said.
That's my baby.
Yeah, but that's how she felt.
Yeah. That's my baby.
So you have to be aware, I guess, cognizant, aware of, very conscious of, okay, and thinking, analyzing, when I do this, if I do this, this is going to be the impact. Yeah. So we had children that interacted that were no longer interacting, nieces, this whole ripple effect, domino effect that
years of being apart,
a great.
When I used to have to lay in the bed and listen to her snore at the age of 1. Oh.
Watch it. So, you really have to. This thing went. I knew it was going to do it.
Like families, and I'm just going to use one of my coworkers, Lena, as an example. And I won't even say her name, but just a coworker. And she has some real serious family issues, and it's horrific. I felt that our family had some issues with her family is way beyond. I hate to say way beyond repair, but it's really bad, and there's quite a few siblings in there. And the communication, there's no communication between them. And what I'm, and just talking, us having this discussion, I'll be able to take some things back to her to try to help her with her family issues as well. But I was saying that how one person talk about the other person talk about the other, and they just going back and forth. That's something that happens in her family amongst each other, and then you may have a cousin that transfer the cheese to the rat, and everybody, and they're listening. They're taking it all in, and it just keeps the family apart. And I just feel like, if you know that you have a family member that likes to stir the pot, you have to be very careful of what you say. You have to choose your word. And again, if your words are, if you're speaking the truth, what you're saying is the truth, or however you feel is the truth, but just to stir the pot, we have to get past that.
So, again, it might be a matter of perception, because I know that there was a big debacle, probably with a brother, his lady friend, girlfriend, or whatever. And to me, it seemed like a communication issue where one perceived that they were being talked about. And I don't want to go into detail, but one perceived that they were talked about. And I'm like, well, no, they're entitled to their opinion. So, for instance, if, I don't know, say me and Pumpkin having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, we're having a conversation, and maybe he ends up talking to you later on. And he was like, well, me and Tony were talking about it, and we felt like, Tevin should do such and such because she was telling me about something about Tevin. And you like, well, she told you about that? Why was she talking about him? It could be perceived it that way. And he was like, well, no, she was just saying, he had some different options, and, she didn't understand why he was doing such and such. She wasn't saying it in a bad way, but you perceived it as a bad way because you're saying, well, she was talking about him. She was talking about my son. But where me and Pumpkin was having a conversation, and you perceived it as talking about, but we had an opinion.
Right,
perhaps.
right.
Do you see what I'm saying? So where is the line where we understand that we maybe have the understanding that everything, just because we're in conversation with one another, that it's okay that if I'm talking to Pumpkin and something come up or whatever, that, and we say something, or you know, my tenant's down there or whatever in Georgia or whatever, and she was saying she needed some help with such and such. And so Pumpkin perhaps called my tenant, like, I was talking to Charles, she said she told you that? I needed some help doing that? Why is she talking about me to you? Then she calls and say, why are you telling Pumpkin my business? And I'm like, well, I thought that maybe Pumpkin could help you.
That goes back to the beginning of what I was stating, a lack of communication. Like, you know, if that, like with your example, I would say, you know, if an individual felt as though another person was talking about them, like, okay, let's clear it up. Like, what's going on? Like, you know, and there's a difference between opinions and gossiping.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's the word, gossiping. There you go. That's the word. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we
went over on this meeting.
I think we did. Yeah, we did. We're gonna go ahead and reel it in. As I tell my students, we're gonna reel it in. Did anyone have any closing remarks before I close out? Love yourself as thyself.
I would like to say just thank you very much for having me, and just allowing us to be able to come together and talk. And we got some issues out on the platform, and we were able to assign a patriarch of the family, which is a great thing. So thank you.
Hey, I enjoyed it, man. I'm glad that that these issues were brought to the forefront, because now we all have something to take back and try to work on. You know what I mean? Like giving people a chance. You know what I mean? And communicating and observing. You know what I'm saying? So I think all the things will be important, and trying to figure out. Has this person changed? How that person changed?
Right.
Can I trust them? Can I not? So observation. Communication. You know what I mean? All those things is going to be important. So hey, that's something we can take back and kind of utilize until we meet again, and as a family, as a group.
Yes, I definitely agree. Angela, did you have a closing remark? Is she here? Angela? Angie?
Oh, I was just talking. I had my thing on mute.
Oh, yes. I said, did you have a closing remark? Did you have anything that you wanted to share before we left the show?
Everything seemed to be pretty good. I mean, everybody got to say something and voice their opinion, and we still all happy-go-lucky.
Yes. Yes.
Y'all better shut up.
Yes. In closing, I just wanted to say that this show has been amazing, and I really hope that this is something that viewers, listeners will hear, and it will cause them and inspire something in them to want to heal, to just improve the relations that they have with their family. Because at the end of the day, like as Pumpkin said, with Charles, we affectionately call him Pumpkin, stated that family is all we have in the end. So we should be supporting one another. So I think that this is a healthy conversation, and understanding how one another feel, understanding and respecting boundaries, and that this should be, how we move forward as far as just communicating and saying, hey, this kind of hurt my feelings, and I would appreciate if you not do this, you not say that, or whatever, and that we are in a position and open-minded enough to respect the way others feel and those boundaries. But I think that we also need to be careful in what we categorize as gossip and what we categorize as opinion, because everything is not a matter of gossip. So we need to be kind of cautious about that too, that people have a right to their, opinion, to feel how they feel about certain stuff. And so we have to agree to disagree. We're adults. We are unique. We're individuals. Right. And so it's okay for us to think differently. We don't have to agree across the board on everything and what we do and who we're with and how we do it and things of that nature. What's important is the supporting and loving, that element. If we're supporting and loving, then we're on the right track. And then we got to love enough to say, okay, you're going down the wrong path. That's not right. Even though they might not like it, but we have to love enough, because that's what love really is. Sometimes
that is correct.
We have to love enough to be honest.
If we see it, then we should tell them. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
You know, and if they don't listen and they don't change their course, then there's nothing that we can do. At least we did try to steer them in the right direction. That is very true. Very, very true.
Yep. So
well, I have one more thing to say is, you know, I think because I am the oldest of everybody, whatever that I say I want y'all to do, y'all should do it. Y'all should listen to what I say. I should do everything I tell y'all to do. And whatever I want, y'all need to get it. And everything. So, you know, that's what I think.
I think Grandma is wrong. Grandma need her medication.
And what I think is, I think Joe Boy don't left her a bottle when she don't got into it.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
That's pretty good, Angie. I like that. I'm gonna give you a couple of things to ask for, Angie, and then we'll share, all right?
Say what? You gonna ask for a couple of things too?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you to ask for a couple of things, and then you can just give it to me. Everybody else can take care of it for you.
Follow suit. Okay, that sounds good to me.
And also, Charlie, just as an ending note for myself.
Yes.
I just like with family dysfunction or whatever, I feel like all families have to go through some type of dysfunction to be able to be a stronger unit and to be able to understand one another as not only individuals but members of a unit. So I think that a lot of family dysfunction, it may be chaotic, stressful, but once that bond or what is healed and all of that, then pretty much, I think that a family dysfunction can actually be healthy at the end of the day. Sorry, guys, it's just my temper.
I think that could be stronger than ever.
Coming in.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. From the mouth of the babe.
I believe that.
Yeah. Listen to baby Maria. All right now.
Hey girl, I'm sorry I missed you the other day.
Yeah, she's what's her name? She's representing the tribe of Maria Partlow, our sister that passed some years ago. So that's her baby talking on the line. That's her baby. Very good. Okay.
I'm grown. Thank you.
She a baby still. She's
Who
a baby.
said that? Is that my tenant how much she grown?
Right.
That's cool.
She know. She know. All right
Time
then.
flies, right?
Yeah. All right then. Say, well, thank y'all. Y'all have a good night, and say, I will let y'all know what the next topic will be, and until the next time.
Looking forward to it.
All right.
Bye.
We're closing out. We are family.
Good night.
All right. Good night.
Good night, sissy. All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Bye, everyone. Love everybody.
And niece. Sissies and niece. Love you guys.
All right. Love you
Leave the
too.
niece out.
All right.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Living life is fun, and we've just begun to get our share of this world's